Hey there, brilliant blogger. Social media is such an incredible way of driving traffic to your blog through an audience that you've already built. But if you are struggling with doing this, then good news, because I am going to be chatting today with Shelly about posting with purpose for bloggers, where she's going to share some best practices and posting hacks about how to get traffic to your blog from your social media channels. And you're definitely going to want to stick around until the end, because her answer to the last question that I asked, honestly, I did not know. I did not know, and it kind of blew my mind. So you're definitely going to want to hear that. Hey there, brilliant blogger. This podcast was created to answer this simple question: how do I make money with my blog where I'm making consistent income month after month after month without wasting time on strategies that aren't going to work anyway? I'm Adrienne, aka your blog biz BFF, and this is the Blog Biz Podcast. Welcome to the show. Shelly, thanks so much for being here. Do you want to just give a quick introduction to who you are, what you do?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk to bloggers and how they can use marketing to help grow their website traffic. So
Yeah.
a little bit about me. So I have a blog as well, as you can see behind me if you're watching this on the video part. And that's called We Can Make That. It's a fun place for DIYers and crafters and Cricut users to come and hang out, and we have digital files and that kind of thing. So that's where, using my marketing for my day job, I've been an entrepreneur, a self-employed freelance graphic designer since 1997. So I've been using my marketing skills from that job, which are all from this chair right here, to push forward with We Can Make That and end up with a good blog traffic and a great email list and social media. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I feel like I have lots of, when people say, what do you do? I'm always like, well, what do you need?
Right. I have that too. Like, which hat would you like me to wear today?
Right. Yeah. What do you do? That could be a podcast in its own.
In and of itself. Which podcast are we doing today?
Yeah. Right.
So amazing. So we're going to talk about how to get some traffic to your blog. So
Right.
you've had some success in driving traffic through social media?
Yes. And that's what I thought we could talk on. And a lot of times when people go out there and they open this blog and they've got great content, and then they get to, Facebook, let's say, and you suddenly have what I like to call poster's block. So instead of writer's block, now you have to go make a post, and somebody said, let's do 4 posts a day or at least once a day, depending on how big your page is. And you're like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So a lot of times people just cut and paste those links and they think, oh, that'll just get them to the blog, and then they post a funny meme and they move on with their day. But if you're posting with a purpose, is what I like to call it, you have to have an end goal. So what is your plan? Where do you want to send them? Are you selling something on your website, on your blog? Is it just to go read your blog posts and click through and find other fun things? So make sure that you have a plan. When you go to your social media, your Instagram, you want to connect with them, yes, and do some personal posts, but you also want to make sure that you're posting with a purpose so that, I want them to go to the blog. So with my DIY website, I don't want to just go out there and post, here's a craft, here's a craft, here's a craft, but here's, maybe it's, here's the craft supplies, come see what I made with them. And then they have to go to the blog to see the after, so the before and after, it really does work. And I think mapping all that out beforehand so that when you get out there to your Facebook or your Instagram and you're posting, and sure, you're going to do some fun memes and maybe pictures of yourself and or your niche kind of a thing if it's not you as your brand. But when you get out there and you start posting those things, if you're just posting to post, your customers, your followers, your fans, they don't know where to go, and they're sure not going to go to your website, which that's in the end result. That is always where we want them to go.
Right. That's if you're trying to use your social media to specifically get them to a blog post, you need to let them know why they should be going, right? Like that's
Right.
the whole idea. So that's, a lot of how I frame this is having that call to action.
Right.
Like you have to have a solid call to action on whether it's in email marketing, whether it's in social media, whether like no matter where you are, you want a call to action.
Right.
So what's the best way, would you say, to form your call to action based on whatever your specific goal is for that post?
I think first having your vision. So you have to have your business defined and know exactly what you're doing. So that's your vision, your mission, those kind of things. So that at the end of the day, how are you helping your customer? What problem are you solving? And then I like to say we need to step that out into 3 different steps so that you make sure that you have your brand all packaged up in a pretty little bow. So you can't be out there if you're just you have to be using your social media for marketing, or that is not just a direct sale, like you said, call to action. That doesn't mean that you post something and they go buy a t-shirt
Mhm.
necessarily, but that call to action can be just come over to my blog and read the latest blog post, or click through and buy something from the sponsor that I did the blog post about. That's a good thing too, but sometimes it's just that traffic there. You just want them to come over there and read it. So if you don't have your marketing, your branding in place, it's really hard to know how to talk to your audience with your brand. So, and those are the things that are going to set you apart from the next person. So there's a lot of people who have a lifestyle blog or a crafting blog, but how are you using the words? What are you talking about? Um, what kind of theme, what kind of niche have you niched down on? And then make sure you're using those words, those graphics, those colors, just the feel. You're putting out that vibe, and you're not just dropping stuff to drop stuff because people said, go post 4 times a day, and then you'll get interaction. But if you think of it as you're creating these posts online as if somebody were to walk into your store. So pretend instead of you're doing this blog post, but it's actual brick and mortar, it's a store. They come in, you greet them, they sit down, you read this blog post per se. So when they come in the door, before they sit down to read the blog post, what interaction would you have with them? And that's what you need to schedule out with your social media. And that's where your brand's going to come out, your message is going to come out, your vision of your business is going to come out. And then at the end of the day, that's part of your marketing plan, which people think, I don't need a business plan or marketing plan or any of that kind of stuff or a vision because I'm just going to go blog. But stepping all this stuff out, yep, I see you shaking your head. Yeah, it
Nope, nope,
definitely
nope,
makes
nope.
so much.
If you
It
want to
makes,
make, oh, go
go ahead.
ahead. No, that's what I tell people is if you want to make money with something, it's a business. It's either a business or it's a hobby. So which one is it?
Right, right,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think it removes so much overwhelm. People feel, messy. They feel chaos, and they sit down and they're like, should I do this? Should I do that? If you're feeling confused and overwhelmed, you can be dang sure that your customer is too, or your follower is as well. And then
Yes.
sponsors, if you want to do sponsored posts, if you're confused when you're out there putting this stuff out, imagine, how do you expect them to have a clear vision of where you're going? So,
Yes. So there were a few things that you said that I just want to pull back out to
sure,
re-highlight them is first of all, you have to know who you're talking to, right?
right.
Like, what do
Makes
they
no sense.
need?
Yep.
What do they need? What kind of problems do they need solved?
Mhm.
And then how do you speak to them? And that is what forms your mission and your vision, like you were talking about. And I
Right,
love that you phrase it that way because that's exactly the way that I talk about it too. And then when you're confused about what you want them to do or what you're trying to say to them, they are for sure going to be confused, right? Your audience is going to, there's no way that they can know. Or I don't, Shelly, do you find that when you give somebody too many options, they choose none of them because
right,
they're confused. That's confusing them with what that specific call to action actually should be.
right. And you say, I can do this, this, and this, then you
Hmm.
don't know which website or which division of my business to go to. So
Hmm.
you definitely have to know what you're talking to them about. Like you said, their problem, or you
Yeah.
know, their next level, or entertainment. Sometimes it's entertainment, that's okay, but make sure you've nailed that down.
Yeah. As far as coming up with post ideas, because I think my least favorite thing about social media is just how time consuming it can be, right? To
Right.
come up with, post ideas. Like, I guess I could come up with the ideas all day long. But when it comes down to actually writing the copy, like, what do you recommend is a good practice for just eliminating some of the overwhelm that comes along with, like, I have to create another post now, and just how time consuming it can be? Like, how can we correct that?
Right. I use my planner, of course.
Uh-huh.
So for those watching, I'll give them a sneak peek of the one we have for 2020, 2021.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what year it is, right?
Do you
So
want to actually like, for people who are just listening and can't see, do you want to just sort of talk through it too? Because it really
sure.
is it's a cool planner.
Yeah, sure. I definitely will. So this planner, it starts out with the beginning of the year is a just 12 squares, one for each month. And we map out, this is where I like to say, okay, this month, what do I want to do in my business? So I want to do, let's say I want to do email marketing by May. I want to have that implemented onto my blog by May. Or I want to have a Black Friday special in November with maybe one of your affiliates or something like that. So, 3 weeks before that Black Friday special, that you better be talking that up big time. So that will help you plan it out. So that's what we use this first page for. Maybe if you want to do email marketing by May, you need to put one task in the 4 months before that. That will help you get there. So you're going to research what email marketing is. You want to, how do I get people to sign up? What do I need to do? Do I need to hire someone? You're going to step all those out. Excuse me. Then you're going to go back and add them to your actual calendar. So as I turn the page here, then you get a monthly view. And this is where I map out. So with my We Can Make That blog, where the DIYers, and there's digital downloads that they get every month. I do a creative DIY craft blog post type thing every week, or I try. And I go through and I map them out. I do them on Thursdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I go through, and on the Wednesdays on the monthly view, I will put what the blog post theme will be. And then on Thursday, I will put what the digital download design will be. Maybe it'll be an exact verb, word for word. And then maybe it'll just be something Halloween or a free Halloween one or something like that. And then turn the page, and we've got the Monday through Friday views. So it's scheduled from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and there's some room for notes, but this is where I go in and I put in my appointments. So this podcast that we're recording, it was on my schedule. And then before that was researching. I got a sponsored post. So I was working on, I have to figure out how to use it before I can go live and do a Facebook Live and show people how fun it is, because it is super fun. But so I have to go through and do some work on that. So then I scheduled that in there. And then I know, next Thursday or next Wednesday, that blog post will drop. So I actually have it written on next Thursday that's the blog post that'll drop. And then I create the pins and the Facebook post from that. So facing the page too with the Monday through Friday is also Saturday and Sunday. And then on the other 2/3 of that page is where you're going to map out all of these things we just talked about. So there is a weekly goal that you could fill in every week. We have live scheduled. So this is where I'd fill in that sponsored post live. I'm going to go live and talk about it on, next Friday or something like that. And then email campaign, I want to make sure I send all of my people that blog post, or I'm going to send them the one from the week before, depending on what day of the week I'm doing my emails. And then there's some marketing and promotion tabs and checkboxes here. And then there's a little note comment on the bottom as well. But with the marketing and promotions, that's where this week on my Facebook page, I'm going to remember to pull up, a really cute craft I did, last fall. That was just with some paper. It had nothing to do with my Cricut stuff, but it was just a fun DIY, but it was very fall themed. So I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to throw a before shot out on my Facebook page, because I've grown my Facebook page in the last year. And now I can add so much, I can add so much more traffic to my website, because now I have last year's fall posts I can send to, and then this year's posts I'm creating new. So I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting a post that was very active during this season. As we record this, it's in October, so it's definitely fall themed is on my mind, but you want to make sure that you're also pushing out those things that you did the year before or 2 months before that were great. Maybe it was a funny meme. But so that's where I go through and I schedule them all out. And then when I sit down and I know I have to go live this week, I'm not going, but what am I going to talk about? And then I end up going live about something nobody cares about. And then I'm frustrated because my numbers are down, the engagement was down, nobody watched it.
Right.
And it was because I just winged it. And that's not always the best marketing plan. So,
Not recommended, no?
no, no, not even by the non-professionals is that recommended. And it's not like and I always tell people, this is not set in stone. I don't wake up every day and do exactly what my planner says because I
Mm-hmm.
use the pens that are erasable in my planner. But I also know, if I'm going to go live this week, I didn't get the sponsored post done. Chances are I have something on my blog that I can then maybe pull from next week. I always make sure when I'm scheduling these out that I have some that take me time, but I also have some that are super easy and super effective. And, they don't take me a whole lot of brain power to put together. So,
Easy, effective, and not a lot of brain power is my language.
right, I should put that on a shirt.
Right. So
Best marketing plan. So hopefully I
typically,
didn't throw too much at you there, but
no. That's really, really good. And that's, if you can't see Shelly's planner, if you're just listening, like it really is, it's very cool. That it functions as a basic calendar. Like if you use a planner, then it's a great planner, but specifically for content creators, like
right.
just the way that it lays out, because there's a spot for, like social media too on there, isn't there?
There's a checkbox every day to make
Yeah.
sure that you're posting or doing a story. I use mine for stories because I schedule out my posting.
Yeah.
So I make sure I'm doing a story on all the platforms throughout the week,
Yeah.
everywhere from Pinterest to Instagram to Facebook. And that helps me, check. Well, and I'm creative. I love to check a box.
Checking a box is so satisfying.
Right?
to get to check things off.
Yeah.
So for
I write
someone
things.
who's,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I write things on my list just to cross them off.
Yes, I do that too. When I do, this is such a random little tidbit. I don't check things off. I do X's. And sometimes I'm like, this is a really daunting task. And sometimes I just do half of the X where I'm like, I've started it, but not completed it. And just having that half of the X there, just that alone is satisfying. And I feel like it's not so mind numbing to get it
Right.
done.
Speaking of visual, I like to visually see
Yeah.
I'm making
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah. So for bloggers who might not be quite as organized, who feel like I just can't get a handle on trying to get all my organization for my blog posts, my social media posts, like all the things that come along with trying to drive traffic to your site, the idea of planning in advance is so important. So on average, like when do you start planning to push content out? Like you were saying for your Halloween posts, like when do you start planning for that?
I like to do on the social media on Facebook and Instagram. I do them during the season, but with Pinterest, we do them 2 to 3 months prior.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit down once a month for about 45 minutes and make my plan for the month. And then I will do the monthly view with, my topics. I'll move them onto my schedule so that I know, Tuesday mornings, I'm going to work on blog posts for 2 hours. And that's my set time. If something comes up with my day job, as I like to call it, and I know I have to do a meeting, at least I can move it to another spot. But I try to keep those things sacred because I know without blog traffic and without new content and good marketing on my social media and then creating pins and stuff like that on Pinterest, nobody's going to find me. So
Yes. Do you tend to do that all at once? Like, so if you have your Halloween content, do you start that, let's see, 3 months prior? So that would be like July. So do you start in maybe in June and say like, okay, next month I need to start thinking about pinning for that post. And then you're going to fast forward to your like month of October and say, now I'm going to plan out what I'm going to post for that? Or do you sort of do it more as you go? Did that question make sense the way I just phrased that?
yeah, no, I think
Okay.
so. I do that. I do that with the old content, but I am more real time with the seasonal. I'm making my fall crafts now. And the people, I have somebody who helps with my Pinterest, and she's like, we should have had these pinned, but they always seem to. I have enough content after a few years of doing this, since this is actually the 4th year I've been doing it this month, actually, maybe even this week as we shoot this. So there's definitely content out there. And then sometimes she will just create new pins and then go out and pin the super popular stuff. And that gets the traffic. And then when they land on the website, the new stuff that I'm creating, when those pins were finally active, is showing up and they're helping us pin them. So
Yeah.
it's, getting through that first year as a blogger was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Yeah. And I find it's a lot of trial and error where you're like, I'm just going
Right.
to try these things and see if it works or if it doesn't work, or you just have to figure out what what your audience needs and how it works best for you.
And just lots of learning because there's so
Yes.
much tech involved. And
Yes.
I didn't know that I had to start pinning these 3 months prior to when I want people to see them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you find, going back to social media,
Yes.
when you are trying to get people to go to your blog, like say you have a post on, Halloween crafts, and you're
Okay.
posting that somewhere on social media, do you tend to repurpose verbiage from within your blog? So repurposing that content that
Oh,
you've
yeah.
already created, or do you tailor it specifically, like new words, new ideas, to tailor it specifically to what your audience on the social platform needs?
I feel like my social media following is the same as my website. So they
Hmm.
definitely are the same niche, same ideal customer. So we do generally do a lot of using the same copy in both places. And then for the first go round, and then we might switch it up or word it different. So it's generally the same. When you're posting on social media, your key goal is engagement or click throughs. Facebook wants you to have engagement and then you want the click through, but you have to give Facebook that engagement before you can get the click through, or they're going to see that you're just posting to get people to your website and then you're going to be way down on the news feed. So we will be using, when I do my branding and marketing coaching, we always have them step out words that are definitely in their niche. So we always make sure we use those. So it'd be Halloween DIY, crafting, those kind of things, Cricut crafts, those kind of things are definitely what I like to call buzzwords. So we use those to step out onto the social media, but they're the same words as the website. We just, like I said, would maybe word it on, do you dress up for Halloween? And here's a Halloween costume idea that you can go over and grab the digital file and make on your own. But so it's not word for word. I don't always cut and paste the same paragraph for each one, but it's definitely in the same tone, I guess, when talking to that client
Yeah.
or fan follower.
Excuse me. And then what do you think is a good practice for trying to condense that down for into like Instagram stories? Because I think that that's such a good way to engage with people and to get them to want to go to your content without having them ever see your actual post.
I I don't get a huge, I would say Instagram is my least amount of traffic to. I feel like my Instagram crafters followers, they want to stay on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
but Facebook and Pinterest and emails, those kind of, they convert very well for me
Gotcha.
to the website. So
Gotcha.
a lot of times it's more pretty things. They want 10 pretty things they can just click and like and keep scrolling before they get to a click through. Um,
Yeah.
and usually that's enticed with the free digital downloads from from the crafting.
Everyone loves a freebie.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So,
So,
and I think that's really important, is knowing, you know, the audience that's on Instagram is not the same as the audience that's on Facebook,
mhm.
and understanding what it is that they want, so that you're not, because it is easy to just like hit that push through. If you're posting, I'm more of an Instagram person. So if you're on Instagram, you just click the little push through to Facebook button and then it
Right.
just goes to Facebook. But it's not, do you recommend doing that? Because it's not always the same audience.
Right. I don't. And I think you talk to people, um, if they're reading your post that you formed for Instagram, it says, click the link in my bio. That makes absolutely
Yeah.
no sense on Facebook. So
Yes.
I think it's probably best. Usually what we'll do is we'll use the free Facebook scheduling and we will make the post use the same graphics, maybe even, or sometimes when I'm taking photos, I always make sure I take them maybe just a slightly different angle. It's a little bit different, just for my visual satisfaction, I guess. I like to have
Yes.
them a little bit different. But I will then, I have everything in one folder. I do a folder for each blog post, or digital file, and then we can grab whichever ones we need out of there. So I might use the same words, but then I'll change the bottom, go here instead of the link, and I can schedule them out at the same time. It takes just a few more minutes, but it doesn't seem, it seems like on Instagram, it can be more of a Vanna White. Here it is. Here's what I've done. Isn't it beautiful? Click the link in the bio. But then on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, it seems like that following wants a conversation.
Ah,
Do you know more what I'm making? And Facebook wants you to have a conversation, which I think Instagram obviously does too, but they want you to have a conversation, and they just kind of stay there for me on Instagram. But on Facebook, I can have a conversation and say, did you like this wreath with the red bow or the green bow? And I get more comments, and then they go to the blog to see, did I use the red one or the green one? Did I listen to them? Usually when I put those posts out, it's already done. So
uh-huh.
they really don't get a say all the time. Unless,
Right.
yeah. But then sometimes I'm doing it live too. And that would, on Facebook, then they can have some interaction that way. So,
Interesting. As a person who doesn't really use Facebook, that's really interesting to hear about the differences in the way that you're interacting with people. Do you find that so you mentioned you'll post the same photo. Do you find that on Facebook you prefer to push through a picture rather than capturing like the featured image when you would post the whole URL and it links as an actual web page?
I I do feel like it gets more interaction when I upload the photo, because then
Okay.
Facebook feels like it's new content for them. You know,
Ah, I
then
see.
you're feeding their ego, the Facebook ego.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And then sometimes
Interesting.
when I'm creating the blog post, I will, instead of taking a picture of my supplies, like for the DIY crafting website, I take a video of the supplies. So do an overall view of them, maybe zoom into one or two, and have just a couple second video that you can upload. And Facebook really likes that. I mean, you can sure upload that to Instagram as well, but
Hmm.
that
And
also creates different content where you maybe wouldn't use that on your blog post itself. It seems like that might be a waste of video storage
yeah,
space.
and lag your page loading time.
Right. But maybe, you can always do a still image there, and they can still see all the products, but that kind of interaction is going to get them to stop the scroll, which makes Facebook happy, even if it's a few seconds. And, they might click through to see what the next step is then. Like, what did she make with all these things?
Yeah. I feel like video is in general underutilized,
Yes.
which it's now getting bigger on Instagram because of Reels.
Right.
That's really working well. But even Pinterest is moving now Pinterest loves video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're starting to add
Yeah.
that everywhere.
Yeah. Couple more questions for you, and then I'll let you get moving with your day.
Sure.
So you mentioned you use Facebook's built-in scheduler.
Yes.
Do you do that as well with not a built-in scheduler with Instagram, but do you use a scheduler with Instagram as well?
Yep. You can schedule Facebook and Instagram from Facebook.
Oh, see, I didn't
Now,
even know that.
yeah, now that they're both owned by Facebook. And a lot of people say, but they like their third party. But if you've scheduled
Hmm.
on Facebook and somebody else scheduled on one of the other apps that you can schedule on, and Facebook's picking which one they're going to show a fan that you guys both share, Facebook's is going to win because they want you to use their own tools.
Interesting. Do
So
do you have this is a very specific question that I don't know you'll know the answer to, but do you have the option of scheduling out the first comment to put your hashtags in? Because I know that that's a big thing on Instagram with
I,
Facebook's
you
native
know,
scheduler.
I have heard that now with the new algorithms, you can just put them in the original post, and not putting them on the um, as the first comment doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. But who
Mhm.
knows? By the time this comes out, that could
It
change.
could be different. It changes all the time.
We
That's
may
no
not even
joke.
need hashtags by the time this comes out. The way
Right.
yeah. But and I
Yeah.
would say the other day I was doing I uploaded a video and it was about the planner onto the planner Facebook page, and it asked me to hashtag the video. I was like, make up your mind, Facebook. Are we using hashtags or not?
Yeah, Facebook and
So,
hashtags, I feel like I don't even know what they want.
right. So, maybe putting them further down in the scroll. If people have to click that read more, Facebook counts that as interaction. So that's a good thing. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can do that, scroll down a little bit, use some fun emojis, whatever you need to do, or some spaces, put your link and then scroll down some more and put your hashtags there. They don't, they're not like in people's faces like they were before that way. And maybe if
Yeah.
you're just narrowing it down with one or two, and then go over and schedule your Instagram and put your, list of 20 or whatever you're using right now. And that keeps both of them clean. And it's super easy to go out and schedule it that way because you've already copied it, pasted in the other one, tweak it a little bit, upload whatever photo, video you want, and then schedule out the next one.
Yeah.
So, and then sometimes I will automatically schedule it a month later, because if you have 5% of your audience seeing it, not everybody on your page saw it. So then I will paste it again, schedule it 3 weeks out on a different day at a different time, and then I'll go in and tweak the words again, and then I'll schedule it again on Facebook. So I don't do that on the Instagram feed. I might do it on the story, and
Yeah.
reschedule, do the story again. But then it helps you create content that way. And that kind of goes into that section on the planner where you're marketing and promoting things that you've already done. And now you've scheduled that out 3 weeks. Now you've got another post on it. It just took you half a second, really.
Right. When you create a post for the first time, how many times do you think is ideal in general to push that in front of an audience?
We
Like,
have, so I have email set up. Whenever a post drops, the post drops Wednesday, but Sundays we send out another email. So any of the blog posts that were done throughout the week, sometimes I'll do two if I've got a sponsor or a quick one that I want to throw out. And those will automatically populate and send every Sunday. So I don't have to touch it. It just goes, and
nice.
then it gets dropped, like I had said, through Instagram and Facebook, and then rescheduled to Facebook again in 3 weeks. And then there's generally 3 to 5 pins that are created and scheduled out, new pins uploaded to Pinterest for each blog post. And I would say out of all those, and there is close to 20,000 on our Facebook page, and I want to say 10,000 on our email list, and I think 3,000 on Instagram. And I get the majority of people from Pinterest, email marketing, Facebook, and then Instagram. And then I think it's Google, like random searches, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Instagram.
Is
But
your
I
is your
don't get, oh,
oh
sorry.
sorry.
We're
No,
kind of
go
tripping
ahead.
over each
Right,
other
right,
with the
right.
lag, but I don't give Instagram very much love. I use it more of just to build up Shelly. So I use it for Shelly's brand because I have the planner and the We Can Make That. And then I have a full-time graphic design clients. So I do logos and brochures and those kind of things. So I kind
Gotcha.
of use it more for Shelly. So I don't always schedule every single craft, every single download, those kind of things out there too.
Gotcha. And is your Facebook, is your Facebook private or is it a public page? Like, do
It's
people have
public.
to? Gotcha.
Yeah. And there is a couple free groups. So there is one if people want to make a craft from something from any website, not just ours, they can go and post or ask questions like my mat's not sticky and my Cricut, how do I get it to restick? And
Yeah.
they'll go in and ask just simple questions like that and then share crafts. So we've got a couple free groups attached to the page that people can come play in.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's wrap this up. The what we were saying earlier, what you were saying earlier, is that the keys really is that you're looking for click-throughs, right, to your blog. You want engagement, but you really want the click-through. So just to wrap things up, like if you had to give one piece of advice on how to get those click-throughs from social media, what do you think is the best way to do it?
Work on that, like the story we told at the beginning where they come into your store before they get from the door to where you're going to read them your blog post.
Mm-hmm.
What does that interaction in between there looks like? And that's what you have to push that onto your social media. Because if all you're doing is using social media to say, go to my blog, eventually Facebook's going to be like, don't show them to
Yeah.
anyone. Because
Yeah.
they want you to stay on Facebook. So if you can do, when you build your page up and you get over that 10,000 and you're doing 4 posts a day, you're posting, I have a cat who's usually sitting behind me when I'm doing these because he likes the lights, but so I might do a post about my cat. People comment on that all the time. I might ask them about their weather. It seems like that really gets some engagement, and
Ah,
I will do something like I'm in North Dakota, so it's a snowy day. So it's a good day to be in here crafting. What's the weather like where you're at? So I've used some of my crafting words, buzzwords, niche brand out there as well, created some engagement. So I've done a couple fun posts, maybe threw up just a random story of maybe my cricket in the background making something, or just a video I took of the supplies like we talked about, and throw that up there. And then my 4th post would be, oh, look what we made. Come to the blog and check it out. And then Facebook says, oh, look at, she's getting all this interaction. Okay, well, let them go to her blog right now. And then give them some more interaction, and then drop another post to try to get them to go to your blog or your
yeah.
website. Because if all you're doing is saying, come to my website, you're going to lose Facebook's confidence and they're not going to want to show, because they get to pick who gets to see your stuff.
Right.
And you can go from that 2 to 5% seeing what you're posting, or 20 to 30, 40, 60% of your followers seeing what you're posting. And the difference is engagement on your posts. So it's okay to post stuff that's not, come read my blog. You need to post something that's going to ask them questions and get them involved and have that personal conversation. And the more you can throw that out there, the better it'll be. And I always joke, that's why they call it social media, because they want you to be social.
Yeah. That's Shelly, that was such a good tip. Like, as someone who doesn't really use Facebook and is probably underutilized, Facebook is definitely underutilized for me, but I would not have known that. And so that's such a good tip.
Good,
Like,
good. I'm glad you found it helpful.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay. So if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Sure. So shellyonsis.com is where most of my stuff is hiding at. So you can get the planner from there. And then Shelly is Chelly. Ontis is Ontis. So I'm sure it'll be in the
Perfect.
show notes, right?
Yes.
And on Facebook, I'm at I Design by Shelly.
I Design by Shelly.
Right. Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then we can make that. We're also on Facebook, and then the website, Pinterest, wherever you want to find us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that planner, you can get your planner on shellyantis.com, you said?
Yep. It's on there. We
Perfect.
do have our own Facebook page. So it's at the Entrepreneur Planner, and you can find that. It's really geared toward bloggers. So a lot of people have said, this is my business notebook, not just my planner.
Yeah.
And I really love it. I know one lady had started using it, and she had about 50,000 on her Facebook page, and she started to use the things that we went through with, scheduling and creating your content for a purpose, that posting with a purpose. And she went, and I think it was 4 months, from 50,000 engagement on her page to 500,000.
Whoa.
So imagine the blog traffic you can get from sharing your posts in an organized fashion with a marketing, kind of emphasis on them. You don't have to be a marketing guru to use it. So that's why I developed it, so that those people
Yeah.
who don't have the marketing experience can grow their blog that way. And, getting that 50,000, 500, 500,000 engagement, imagine how much traffic that is to your website. So
Yeah,
it
that's
definitely can be
huge.
done. Yeah. So you can check
Huge.
it out at the Entrepreneur Planner on Facebook, or the shellyontis.com. There's a little planner tab. And there's training and stuff to help you start using it and figure out all the sections and all that. So
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you showed it to me, I was like, oh, I'm very impressed with how this is all laid out. This really is helpful.
good.
Amazing.
Yeah,
All right, Shelly, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, chatting about posting, which I know is so challenging for some people.
great. It can be
Me.
overwhelming. Yeah, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. When you really know what
Yeah.
your purpose is and you have a plan, it's so much easier.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, take care. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah,
And
thanks. You too.
Yeah. And I will talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Well, friends, I hope that was super helpful for you and that you got some new ideas on how to take your social media audience and move them over to your blog with posting with purpose. I know that I definitely learned some amazing things, and I will post Shelly's links in the description box below so that if you want to connect with her on social media or on her blog, then you can do that. And I will definitely post a link to purchase her amazing planner. So, if you liked what you heard today, I would love to connect with you. Let me know what you thought. You can DM me on Instagram at Brilliant Blogger. I would love it if you would be so kind as to leave a review since the Blog Biz podcast is brand new. Or if you wouldn't mind sharing with a friend, these would be amazing. So I want to thank you for listening in, and thanks one more time to Shelly Ontis for sharing her amazing tips on posting with purpose, and I will catch you guys next time.